I was willing to put in the extra work.
Sure enough, it hits my bat.
Workers that do it the right way. They don't take shortcuts. They don't make excuses.
The glamorous part of the game, Sammy, as you know, is winning championships.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Hey Bucket Live. This week, we have on a very special guest, Adriana Perez, who is the assistant coach and scout for the Mexico women's national team. Thank you so much for jumping on and joining us this week.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
Okay. So I know it's been a crazy summer for you. You've been traveling from Spain to Canada to California, Florida. Can you just kind of take us through some of the highlights and what it's been like for you this summer?
Definitely. I mean, it's been a nonstop summer, but it's been enjoyable. Just recently, I got back into Lubbock, Texas. That's where I live. And just kind of sit back and kind of, just think about all the things that we did this summer for Mexico. Like you mentioned, our first trip was in Spain, which we played the Czech Republic in Spain out there, and we ended up coming first. Then from there, we went to California for a couple of days to get ready for the Canadian Cup. From the Canadian Cup, we came back to California to travel to Florida. Had a couple scrimmages out there with the Vipers and another independent pro team called the Vibe. And then from there, that we basically went there just to prepare ourselves to go into the World Championships in Alabama. I don't think much people know, but every trip we went to, we basically had a different roster, just because the whole process of the Mexican national team now is a whole new system with a whole new girls coming in. So everywhere we went to, we had to bring in a couple different girls to kind of be able to see them in different positions, different events. The one in the one in Spain was basically nothing but girls from actual Mexico compared to the ones we went to Canadian Cup and Florida and all that stuff. So it was quite interesting just to be able to kind of see a different level of playing when it came to the players, and that's basically what we did that for, just to see a good amount of girls in different positions, just because we're starting from scratch again.
Wow, yeah. So you just mentioned it, but you guys are totally a new team. You're starting so young in comparison to the team that you guys used to have, which was just an absolute star-studded veteran team with the Romero sisters, Dallas Escobedo, Seychelle Palacios. You have Anissa Ortez. Can you kind of take us through the differences between that team and now your new roster? Should we expect to see those girls come back?
So that's the number one question that we got asked all summer. We got asked about our veterans that ended up going to 2020 Tokyo. Unbelievable talent, right? As to Seychelle and Dallas and just so much experience in the international level of playing, which is a whole different show compared to college ball. Right now, we are starting scratch from only having two girls that came back from the Olympics, which happened to be Sierra Highland and Steffi Adelius. And so we are in a process of completely trying to find the right fit for our program, and to be able to see what is going to be able to fit into the puzzles of eventually having a strong team to compete again in the Olympics and qualifying for the Olympics, because our past team that went, they did an unbelievable job as to representing us and getting us back in that level to be able to, for people to know who we are again, because the struggle has been in the past that, the Mexican national team wasn't as strong as it been throughout the years.
So now your job as an assistant coach and a scout for Team Mexico, what's that been like? Like, where do you find this talent? Are you just doing tons of travel, or what does that process kind of look like for you?
Yeah, so we had a tryout, and before we head out to the Canadian Cup, we had a tryout. We had mainly juniors, for the junior national team, youngsters. We had a couple older ones, but our job, especially my job, is to try to find the best that are going to represent our country for certain positions that we're looking for. At times it's a bit hard because I don't know, a lot of people understand that in order for us to play with us, you have to lead into having a dual citizenship and having a Mexican passport. So you do come across stud players that sometimes they can't get their Mexican passport. So that gets us in a different position. So as right now, we're basically trying to level out a certain amount of girls that we find that are studs. And if we have 5 girls from the same position, we kind of go off of that and see how their process of trying to find them, get their passport. So that's sometimes it's a little harder than college, because in college you can kind of find a girl and you stick with them and you get them. As when it comes to the national team, it's a completely different process, which gets a little tougher because we can find a great stud that we want, but if she can't get the Mexican national passport, we got to go on to our second or third or fourth girl that can achieve that. So when we come across a scouting, for scouting players, that's the number one thing we ask them. Where's their background? If they were born there, their parents were born there, their grandparents, because it gets a little tough when it comes to that. Sometimes I'm not trying to say like we're wasting our time, but it gets tough when we come across a player we want and she can't get her passport. So.
What are some of the qualities and skill sets that you find appealing for a young girl that you're scouting? Just like on the field or off the field, what are some of like the big checkpoints that you go through as a scout?
So definitely speaking for just at the level we're at right now with the Mexican national team, it's just finding a player that learns how to handle adversity in a big stage. Playing internationally is completely different than college. And, some of our, we call them our young bucks this summer, had an experience on that. I mean, we have a couple girls, Kiki Estrada, that she's going into, which she was just in the PGF All-Stars out there in Irvine, California. She's committed to Arkansas, and that's a SEC, that's top program, Power 5 program. But she was, being able to go out there this summer, it was a whole completely different stage for her, because it is a different stage. You're playing against the best in the world, and the game is a lot different, a lot faster. So when we're looking and scouting for these players, I'm definitely looking for a player that's going to learn, are you going to handle adversity the right way? Because definitely at this stage, it gets a little different compared to college stage, right? And if you were to ask our head coach one thing, Nancy Pareto, we have 2 head coaches, which is Georgia Rajo and Nancy Pareto. Pareto's from Monterrey, Mexico. She definitely wants them, and it's completely different that a lot of people don't know, but she's like, we want them to speak Spanish. So that's the number one thing, like, being able to come in and just speak Spanish and talk the language. And, we're going to be out there communicating in Spanish, which that was, in tryouts, she mentioned that was the first thing she told the girls, you guys got to come in here and you guys got to learn Spanish. At practices, when we were engaged in within each other, they had to learn certain words on the field that were in Spanish compared to in English. So
Yeah, can you just kind of talk about just that opportunity, because you had the opportunity to play for your country and you had the opportunity to be a member of Team Mexico and now as a coach, but can you talk about how cool it is, just that opportunity to represent your country and be just so much pride, right?
Definitely. It's sometimes you don't even know what kind of words to put into, because they say when you represent college, it's a great feeling, but when you represent your country, it's a whole different feeling of passion, of love, just because you are you're playing for more than yourself. And eventually that's what it is. You play for your parents that were born, or your abuelitos, your grandparents, right? You play for all the people that want to wear the green, white, and red. So the feeling for representing the country is something that a lot of people, they don't have that opportunity to have. So when the people that do, it's undescribable. And when I played, I played for them for 6 years. When we first started, to see where it's at now, it's so great to see all the past players, they've made the program into where it's at now. And, the ones that went to the Olympics, as to the ones that were in the past, we were all the pioneers of the program. And now we're respected as well. We go into these tournaments. They're like, man, of course we came in 4th in the Olympics. So that says something right there, So it's just undescribable. And definitely I love using the word passionate, because it is something different when you wear that across your chest and you're out there listening to the national anthem and you're not even thinking about yourself. You're thinking about, I always think about my family, and a lot of people can relate to that when it comes to representing a country.
So you were born in Mexico, and then you ended up being raised in LA, and then you go on to play at a JC before you transfer to Texas Tech, which is just unbelievable. You had a great career. Can you kind of walk us through your softball journey and what made you fall in love with the game?
Yeah, so I was born in Chihuahua, Mexico. So my dad is from there. My mom is from Mexico City, what they call the DF, right? And grew up in Southern California in a small town called Palmdale, California, which, I tell everyone where Rachel Garcia is from, because I'm really good friends with her. I've
Legend.
seen her since she was so young.
Oh my God.
So, I ended up going to a junior college, which back then, I feel like junior college wasn't as big as it is now. I ended up going there for certain reasons, which ended up being honestly the best decision I could have made in my career. It was local. I didn't have to stay, in dorms and have that experience of a freshman, but my experiences there, we competed. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know, but like Cypress and your Mount Sac junior colleges programs, they're one of the top, in Southern California. And so
Yep.
we competed with them. So great. And we had great players. I mean, we had Christian Carbajal, which ended up going to Long Beach State. Alina Murgatroyd, she ended up going to Central Florida. So we had D1 player potential talent during my JUCO years, and which led for me to get recruited with Texas Tech, which Coach Hayes, which is now at Grand Canyon, he did a phenomenal job at our program there at Texas Tech. So I ended up choosing Tech just because Coach Fox, which she played at University of Arizona, and she had a great career there. And so I wanted to learn more from her. And then Coach Hayes, we were a good program back then. I think we were a top 20 ranked program, and we competed in the Big 12. So I ended up choosing Tech, and at first it was a little tough, a Southern California girl going into Lubbock, Texas. It is a whole different culture out here, and look at me now, 10 years later, I'm living out here. So as soon as I ended my graduating my last year, I ended up joining the national team. So I'm beyond thankful and humbled and blessed to be put in so many great opportunities, and seeing the whole JUCO route to D1 level, to the Mexican national team. I know a lot of people don't get those opportunities, and thankfully for the people that have been in my circle have gave me those opportunities. So I'm forever grateful for those things.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you've earned it. You've earned everything that you've got. So you should be really proud of everything you've accomplished. But yeah, going from JUCO to now transferring to a huge university like Texas Tech, what were some of the things that you had to kind of, adjust in your game? Did you feel like you were prepared and ready for college and everything?
Definitely. Well, softball wise, as in the game, I felt yes, absolutely. Just because, I love the game, and it was just, I was always so hungry to go out there and just compete. The hardest part adjusting from JUCO to D1 level was just the workouts, because it's a whole completely different atmosphere, level of training compared to JUCO. I mean, we were back then, the Big 12 still had A&M and Missouri, so it was even tougher, so everyone was good in the Big 12, everyone. So that was the hardest part I had to come through, and that's the adversity I had to hit, and it was tough at times. It really was. I'm not gonna lie, it was really tough, to the point that you had to go out there and figure out on your own how to get through it. And eventually, once season started, and I was just kind of in that game environment, it just led into a lot more easier pace, and it was fun. I mean, we competed at that stage, and it was fun for me just because, Oklahoma had Lauren Chamberlain and Kaylani Ricketts, some of the best softball players that came in our time, and still known in this. And, Lauren Chamberlain has done great things for our sport. So those are the times that I played at Tech with them, and same with Nadia Taylor, at Texas. So all them, like, it was some great softball during my time that I played at Tech. So being able to just compete at that high level, honestly, that led into just being able to to prepare myself mentally into leading into the Mexican national team, because it all gets mental. I mean, it is physical at some point, but that mental toughness it comes in more when it comes to at the higher level of playing with the elite players when it comes to our sport.
Absolutely. Everyone, like once you get to that collegiate level, everyone's pretty even on the physical level, but now it's the mental game that'll kind of kick in, and then you see the cream of the crop will just rise. But what are some of the things that you guys do with the Mexican national team to kind of, help train your girls from not just the physical standpoint, but on the mental side? Is there anything that you guys really implement?
So this summer we did a lot of that, a lot, just because, like I mentioned, we literally have young bucks on our team. We had probably like 16-year-olds out there playing in the world championships against girls that, are Olympians. So we honestly probably had the least starting Olympians out there in the world championships, but we expected that as a coaching staff. It was tough out there for us at first. Everyone obviously wants a win, but we know at some point you got to kind of go through the bad to get to the good sometimes. So we prepared a lot and speaking to the girls a lot about the game, of how it changes compared to what they're used to. We did a lot of outside practice. We would finish a game and we would go to practice. Right after we finish a game out there in Worlds, we would figure out, Coach George, Nancy, and myself would be like, okay, we got to go find cages. We got to go hit. We got to go find a field. We got to go practice. Every time, like we needed to learn, and this girls needed to learn how to, compete at that level and learn certain things towards the game. Like I mentioned, it gets a little tough because everywhere we went had a different roster. Some girls went to the whole events in the summer, but it gets a little tough. We got to go over a lot of plays over again. Your first and thirds, your bunt coverage, your coverage on the outfield, your cutoffs, your pitchers had to, we had different pitchers in certain events. So, we had to tell them, I'm sure I hate to use cliche sometimes, but you got to trust the process. And that's exactly where we're at right now. We have to be able to trust the process of what we're going through right now. And it's going to be a little tough, but this is not the first time Mexico has gone through this. The beginning of where we've gone to where our Olympians did and out there in Tokyo, as to what we're back at stage one again. So for myself, Coach George, and Nancy, we've been there. We've been here before. And I think it's a good thing for myself as a player, converting it to the coaching now, to be able to help these girls. So we definitely did a lot of, studying towards the games, watching film, and the girls would just sit down and we would just talk about, what each country had as to their strengths and their weaknesses, and then getting them to learn all those things. Because when you're playing Team USA and you're playing Japan, it's just their level of softball is completely different than just your typical college softball game.
Yeah, it's just an absolute all-star team of all-stars, just the best of the best. What was the process for you like, now being named as the assistant coach and the scout of the Mexican national team? How did that kind of come to be?
Well, at first, so I ended up retiring the year they ended up qualifying for the Olympics, and so I didn't hear anything. It was a little tough on me, because playing for 6 years and then letting it go for a bit. It was the hardest position that I had to go through, but I didn't hear back from them throughout a couple years, and then when they got new coaching staff, Nancy called me. I remember I was at work and she asked me that she was going to be the new head coach with George Araujo. And she asked me that she felt that, the best person to come in and help this program was going to be myself. Just being able to speak both languages and relate to a lot of, the Mexican side as to the American side. So that was the one thing they did tell me that they wanted. And so when Nancy called me and asked me if I would love to join the team as a coaching staff, I was like, absolutely. There's not a doubt in my mind. Knowing the fact that they were going to come in and be the new staff and lead our girls and lead our program, And also, I think the key factor is just having a female coach in that system. I think that that's what the program needed a lot. So being able to just kind of relate on both sides as to the Spanish and the English, it was something they wanted, and that's what they emphasized a lot when they asked me to come join. So when Nancy asked me, I mean, there was not a doubt that I was not going to say that, because I want to change for the program and for the good, and so that's how it kind of led into it. It was such a quick conversation and just straight to the point, and then I accepted it, and then now I finished my first summer with them. So
Heck yeah, that's awesome. And now just keep on training for the next Olympics.
yes, absolutely. I mean, the next one's in 2024, but we didn't get bidded on that, so we're going to be in 2028. Hopefully we'll be in LA, because that's what they're saying. It's 2028. 28 will be the Olympics out there. That's our goal. It is. But honestly, I think it's good for us that we have this time period to try to find the players that need to fit into our program. And, we're going to go through a little bit of bumps, but that's okay. We're accepting that. And I think we're transparent with that as coaches. And it's not an easy thing to just put together a team to be able to go qualify for the Olympics and medal, right? I mean, that is ultimately our goal as a coaching staff. But what we want also is to be, the girls that are coming into our program and picking the girls that are going to fit into our program, is them understanding that they're going to have to come in and have so much pride into our country to be able to lead into us qualifying for the national team. And with that, obviously with skills, right? Being able to compete at the higher level. So hopefully that's our goal. And that's what we want. If you ask Coach George, he's going to tell you we're going to qualify and we're going to
Heck
medal.
yeah.
So that's all he told the girls this summer. And that's the kind of the mindset you got to have. You can't, our past team, the girls that went in the Tokyo, they put a standard already. So we got to keep that standard up there. And thankfully they did, because we bring so many girls now that are wanting to play for Mexico just because of the past players. So, which is a good thing.
What would you say to the girls that have dreams of representing their country and making the Mexico national team?
I tell these girls all the time, because, I host a lot of clinics out here, and that's the number one question that I always get. Like, what does it take to play on the national team? Or how did you do it? Or what did you do? What do you do as a player? At some point in my career, I honestly, I'm very honest with people. Everyone dreams of playing with Team USA, right? As a kid in the USA, especially in Southern California, where softball is so strong. So when I got into the Mexican national team, it was just a whole different feeling. And when I tell people, hey, when you can have the opportunity to try to represent who you are and where you're from and who your family represents, go after it. Like, go do it. And if that's what your calling is for, that you really think that you can compete at this level, then go do it. Because when I first did it, it was, expected. I was playing in Mexico, and I was playing with Crystal Bustos. Like, she put a little team together, and that's how the Mexican national team was out there, and not knowing that I was, ever going to join them, honestly. And when I had that opportunity of them asking me to join the team, I was like, heck yeah, like this is like, it was a whole different feeling. So when I tell these girls, and, don't just think that, there's other opportunities. Playing for Team USA is not an opportunity you can't do. There's so many other opportunities that you can also do as to not being Mexican. You can play for Puerto Rico if you're Puerto Rican. You can play for Dominican if you're Dominican, because that stage it's just a whole different experience that is just really cool to experience as a player.
It's so surreal. That's so cool that you've had the opportunity to not only be a player but now a coach. Like, you've just done it all.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's something that I feel like it will help the team a lot, especially being there as a player and experience that, and now being able to help the girls in the, things that I knew that we needed to work on as a player. Now I can relate that as a coach and amplify that as into the program. So, which our president now, he is Rolando Guerrero. He's so supportive towards what we want to do for the program to be able to lead, us to eventually medal in the Olympics, right?
Heck yeah, that's the goal. You guys, I'm so
That is
excited
the
to
goal.
watch you.
Yes, that is so.
Oh Okay, well, before I let you go on Hey Bucket, we like to do a little speed round at the end. So it'll just be short and sweet.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, here we go. So growing up in LA, I don't know where your loyalty lies, but who will win the NL West this year?
Oh man, I'm a Giants fan, so I am not a Dodgers fan.
Oh, you threw me
But
for a loop.
hey, yeah, I know everyone says that, but I'm definitely. But man, I don't know. I can't go for the Dodgers because I'm a Giants fan. So I mean, I'm gonna have to. But Dodgers always end up going up there, so I don't. I'm gonna have to. Break my heart a little bit and kind of say that a little bit right now.
All right, fair. We won't tell anyone within San
Yeah,
Francisco.
because that's a rivalry right there.
All right. Well, I assume you love coffee. I mean, who doesn't? Are you an iced girl or are you hot coffee girl?
Ice,
Simple. There we
definitely.
go.
Ice,
There we go.
straight to the point.
All right. If you could have dinner with any person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Tom Brady. Tom Brady, absolutely.
The goat.
Since a
The
kid,
goat.
yes, since a kid, I've been a Tom Brady fan. I mean,
Mhm.
he's so unbelievable. Like just watching him, and that's like the perfect. Just when I talk about a lot to my kids about because he's still doing it and he's hit so
Mhm.
much adversity. So and he's the GOAT. He's the greatest to do
Yeah.
it. And how he trains mentally, physically, definitely him. That's like a 1 in a million question that I would love just to be around him. Yeah, he's great. He's really he's cool.
He's the man. He's the man. We love Tom. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Adriana. I know so many
No, thank you so
girls
much.
just around the country are just so excited for Team Mexico and just to be able to, get some advice from you. And, that's really awesome that you were able to take some time to join us. So thank you again.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys inviting me for this. So thank you.
Thank you guys so much for watching. For more content like this, be sure to check out fastpitchfilms.com. Thank you again. See you next time.